You're starting the day working on your treat? All right, fantastic. He's out of here. I'm sorry, I guess you didn't enjoy being filmed, did ya? Literally got up and turned around and put his back to me. Alright, my friends, we're going to take you out for a little walk, and then we're going to head over to Beverly Boulevard because we're going to do our vlog over there. We've actually been inside of this place before, and I found out from an old map that I got as a gift from Adam the Woo that it was something else, and it all tied together. I said, this is so cool. And I'm going to have lunch with a friend over there at a restaurant that Brian May claims is the best Italian food he's ever had. So this should be a fun day. Days with Jordan the Lion begins now. Yeah, so I wanted to do something a little different today. And when I was thinking, you know, what could I do that would be a little off the wall? And I looked at that map. I'll actually show it to you when we go inside. I said, you know, okay, this is a good idea. Now let's see if that building is still there. And when I looked to see if the building was still there, not only is it there, but I found out that I've actually spent many hours out of my time here in Hollywood in that building. And you and I have actually met a celebrity inside that building who actually, well, that celebrity owns the building now. So this should be a fun trip today. So when Adam the Woo used to live in Hollywood, occasionally we would go walking around Hollywood Boulevard just kind of looking around, and one day a hotel over there was having a sale on a lot of the artwork inside, so we popped in to see what they had. That's where I got this Otis Rush and Grateful Dead Fillmore poster, and this is what he got. So he got this interesting Hollywood map, and so when he moved away, he offered it to me, and of course I wanted it because it has all kinds of familiar spots or historical spots and things that I might want to do in the future. And so today when I was looking at this, I go, Slapsy Maxies. Let's go check that out. Now you see it's got a guy with boxing gloves. That's because Slapsy Maxie was the champion boxer who owned a club over there. But we're going to go deep into the history and the current status of this place today. Let's go. We're going to head over and hit some lunch first. Former Columbia. I kind of give this a nomination for the world's most beautiful neighborhood. Yeah, this is a great part of LA. This is kind of a traditionally Jewish neighborhood. Now where we're eating today is called Angelini Osteria, and it's about almost 3 blocks away from what we're going to be vlogging. So yeah, that's kind of why I want to tie them together today. Here's our restaurant for today, and like I said, this was a recommendation from Brian May of Queen. Not personally to me, but on his Instagram. On his birthday, he said that he was coming here for a great lunch with his daughter, a quiet meal, and said this was his favorite Italian food in the whole world. And he posted a picture of himself with the chef out front, and then said he was going to be doing a big gig at the Forum that night. Can you imagine having your birthday at a little restaurant like this and then rocking out with Queen at the Forum? Now look what it's right across the street from. El Coyote, which we have vlogged in the past, but not tonight. But this right here does come into kind of our conversation with what we're going to vlog later. They give you this as our starter. Alright, I don't know what Brian May orders here, but we went ahead and both ended up getting the lasagna. I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so the verdict on the restaurant, it was fantastic. That definitely was the best lasagna that I have had in this town, so I highly recommend there. Angelini Osteria. Now there was a reason earlier on that I mentioned that this is pretty traditionally Jewish neighborhood, because when I tell you some of the history to Slapsy Maxies, You might kind of be surprised that it happened in this neighborhood. So let's go head over to what was Slapsy Maxie's. Now Slapsy Maxie was a kind of a famous fighter. He was a championship boxer who was known for slap fighting. We're gonna go see where Maxie Rosenblum's nightclub was. Well, here we are. This was Slapsy Maxie's, but it has a whole crazy history beyond that. Now, like I mentioned, we've been in here before. If you have watched the early days of my channel, back in 2016 for Christmas, we came to this theater. I actually did my first meetup here. I had only been vlogging for about 4 months. I couldn't afford to go home to Ohio to visit my family for Christmas. I found out they were gonna be showing The Hateful Eight here, which the reason they do that is because this is Quentin Tarantino's theater that he owns personally. They were showing his movie, so I said, hey, anybody that wants to buy a ticket and come meet me, please do. So that day I came, and a couple of fans, I think there were about 4 or 5 people here to meet me, were lined up here, and I ended up getting in the back of the line. And when I went in, they had come up and introduced themselves to me in line. So when I went into the theater, I found them and there was an open seat behind them, so I sat there, and right next to my seat was a reserved sign. Didn't think anything of it. Well, very shortly thereafter, Quentin Tarantino and his date came down and sat right next to me, and I watched The Hateful Eight sitting right there next to him. They are in the vlog very briefly, but he owns this theater. Now, this is really awesome that he owns this theater because the history goes back far, far, far and wide. 1929, they originally created this, and it was a candy store to begin with. So once the candy store closed down, then somewhat of an adult candy store opened. It was Slapsy Maxie's nightclub, and you could go in there and party your night away, have a few drinks, and then they ended up renovating it into a theater. And then they ended up turning it into somewhat of like a matinee review where people like Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, Phil Silvers had performed on the stages here. Because of the neighborhood being, as I mentioned, kind of heavily Jewish, they decided to bring what they thought that community would want to see, which were like foreign films, and they would do double features of foreign films. Well, eventually it became the Eros Theater. It became a dirty movie theater. And so when I mentioned when we were over at El Coyote, which is literally right down the street here, you can still kind of see it in Tarantino's movie that he's advertising right up here, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In the movie, Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, and Abigail Folger, Wykowski go to El Coyote, and right when they're out front, you see a bunch of lights flashing down here, and Sharon says, what's going on down there? And Jay says, oh, they're having a premiere at the Dirty Movie Theater. And Sharon says, they have premieres at Dirty Movie Theaters? Quentin left that in because this is now his theater, so that's the story. Well, there was a man in the mid-1970s, actually it was like 1977, decided to buy the theater and to revamp it. He decided to turn it into a revival theater. And when he did that, they said a lot of the people in the neighborhood actually came by or sent him letters thanking him for kind of bringing class back to their neighborhood, which I thought was kind of a cool story. His name was Sherman Torgan, and Sherman ended up owning this from 1977 till 2007. Now, the interesting thing about it is that he always showed double features. That was his thing, and he always liked to show you know, something that had to do with the other, and that became a staple here. Now, Quentin Tarantino loved that idea and ended up showing his Grindhouse movies here because they had a Grindhouse movie night here already at the theater. Well, he developed a friendship, and I actually met Sherman's son Michael at a party a couple of years before Quentin bought this, and he told us at that party that he was the projectionist here, and that Quentin occasionally would hire him to go to his house and project movies for Quentin and his friends. So right there you could tell that Quentin has a deep love for not only cinema but this theater and what they were doing. So he ended up working with them and started showing, you know, kind of helping to program what was going to be shown here at the theater. Well, in 2007, Sherman ended up passing away, and Quentin decided to step up, and he purchased the building and saved it from being turned into something else. And I think that's awesome, because that's what people in his position should be doing. And he actually made a statement saying, like, as long as I own this building, as long as I'm rich, this will always be a movie theater as it's been. It will always be a double feature theater. And some of the cool things that he's done is he put together the Kill Bill movies 1 and 2 and showed them in their entirety in one as one movie here. When he released Hateful Eight, he released it here and had it playing as the only movie for a month. And then when he reinstituted showing other movies, doing the double feature again, he kept that as one of the movies, but then the other movie would be something that inspired Hateful Eight, which I thought was great. And so now you can see he's doing something similar now. Now that he's got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's been showing that and is pairing that up, and he's actually got, since it's his theater, he's showing some of the movie props that he shows in the movie. That's the Wrecking Crew movie that we see Sharon go in to watch inside the movie at the Westwood Theater. And then over here, these are kind of the classic New Beverly. He changed, Sherman changed the name to the Beverly Cinema when he took it over from being the Arrows, and now it's been known for years as the New Beverly. Now what's kind of cool, since he's showing his movie here, he's doing it in Tarantino fashion. So here he took old movie ads, like old ads for concessions. Inside he's got some of the fake movie posters that he used in the movie, some of the Jack Dalton stuff. Fortunately, they don't allow you in to film anything in there. But I highly recommend the movie. The movie's great, and I was told by a friend that came and saw it here, they said, yeah, Quentin went as far as getting the original trailers that would have been like in a movie back then for the refreshments, put them in the movie, or before the movie. He also was selling candies that would have been sold back in the theater in 1969. And New Beverly has always had these. These are like, almost everybody I know has always had these schedules taped up on their refrigerator, because they always show really great double features. I've seen a lot of things for the very first time inside this theater. And here you can get some free postcards. John Garfield and Lana Turner, Kurt Russell, Tom and Jerry, and The Ugly Dachshund, like that's being shown up there on the marquee. There you can see the Make Love Not War. And Scott Michaels was telling me that they also had the original Cielo Drive sign from the movie in here at one point. I really wanted to give major props to Tarantino on this vlog today, because he's one of the few people doing what people in his position should be doing. If you have the money, investing it in keeping these kind of things around. I mean, that's, you know, people talk a good game, but he's one of the people actually doing it, keeping the whole experience that he was able to have that made him want to be a filmmaker, keeping those alive. Hope more people will take the initiative to do things like that in the future. And he, you know, in the making of this movie, he could have very easily CGI'd a lot of things, but he actually went to all the trouble of putting this town back into being 1969, getting a lot of the original locations and fixing them up, or recreating locations that were long gone. And to be honest, when I first started coming to this theater in probably 2002, it was kind of a crap hole. I remember people that were like junkies would just come because you could pay $3 and stay for some days. On like weekends they would show the same double feature twice. That was 4 movies. People would just come in at 11 o'clock when the first feature would show, and they would just pass out in the seats and snore and like everything through the whole movie. And you know, it's just like kind of a crazy experience. You just knew you were getting into that when you came here. But now it's a much better experience, and it's cool that he actually shut this down briefly in 2018 so that he could do a pretty heavy remodel and make it a pretty nice place to be again. If you're wondering what the very first double feature to ever play here was, it was A Streetcar Named Desire and A Last Tango in Paris. And though this theater does have digital capabilities, This theater is also really awesome because this is one of the last places that you can see the actual 35mm prints, and many of them are Tarantino's own prints that he loans out to the theater. Pretty cool experience. The true old cinema style experience. Now I've heard a little bit of a rumor, and I hope it's true, that if you saw the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know that Leonardo DiCaprio plays a character named Rick Dalton, who made his name being on a TV show called Bounty Law. As I understand it, Quentin has actually written full episodes of Bounty Law, and there's a theory, or there's some talk, that people believe that they're going to actually make a real Bounty Law. I hope so. I'd love to see it. There's the old RKO globe, because we are, of course, at Paramount. There you can see the Hollywood sign back there in the distance. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed getting to see that theater and hearing some of the history to it and some of the people that have been attached to it. Kind of a cool story. I love the fact that Quentin Tarantino stepped up and is keeping that around. It makes me think of one specific thing, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, so I'll kind of bring it back up. I mentioned that Mae West's assistant Tim, that I did a big vlog with, actually it was a two-parter on here, he had so much of her stuff that he was holding on to in the hopes that someday it would be a museum, and I was, you know, kind of hoping that something kind of like what Quentin did would happen for him, that somebody in the industry would come along that had the means and the resources to say, hey, let's do a Mae West museum. Well, that never really happened, and I mentioned that Tim was having a big auction, that I had heard that he was selling everything, and he contacted me and said, Jordan, just to be clear, I'm not selling everything. It's just that I had so much stuff that I want to make some of it available to her fans now. So he's still keeping a bunch of it. He's just making some of it available because, you know, there just hasn't been a clear path to a Mae West museum as of now. But he did invite me to come see the preview of everything at the end of October at an RSVP event, so I'm going to do that, and so we'll go check it out. We'll see what all is going to be up for the fans and for the world to now own. But yeah, he's still going to keep a lot of it, and so a lot of her memorabilia will still be kind of corralled in one place, which is great in case, you know, a museum does happen in the future. So hope you all enjoyed this vlog today. I'll see you all tomorrow. I want to thank Carol and Rich Kaiser for making a contribution to my channel. Thank you to Quentin for the great movie and for saving that theater. I've seen many movies there, many Hitchcock double features, and yeah, I've seen movies there that I would have never checked out anywhere else just because they were being shown there, and it used to be so cheap to go that it was really no loss. If it sucked, you just got up and walked out, but it was always worth a try. So thank you for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.